bad elections, we really have to pass Save America Act. Save America Act is voter ID, very important, proof of citizenship, and no mail-in ballots, with exceptions if you're in the military or you're disabled or you're sick or something, or you're going on vacation. You know, I'll be liberal on that subject, okay, to use a term that nobody uses anymore. But no, with exceptions. And the mail-in ballots, no other country in the world is doing mail-in voting anymore because it's a fraud. You cannot keep it honest. There's no way of keeping it honest. The Republican Senate has to get going. The House has passed it, and the Republican Senate has to get going. They have to. They have no choice. One of the things I'm proud of is that, and I like John Cornyn. He's a good guy, but you know, I think that we need some change, and Ken Paxton's going to be great, but. If you remember, Ken Paxton he lost the primary by 2 points, and then he won by almost 30. That was after I endorsed him. So he lost the primary by 2, and then he won by 30 after I endorsed him. He won by 30 points. And I think he's going to be a great senator.
So next week in California, they will hold their primaries for their governor's race. And obviously, people are paying very close attention to the mayor race there in Los Angeles. Spencer Pratt has come out very hot. People are interested in this. You endorse Steve Hilton. Any predictions for what we might see happen in California, despite the fact that we know it's a little wonky there?
You know, they don't have voting booths. Everything's by mail. So I'd like to say, and I'm a friend of Steve. I think Steve is great, and I endorsed him. But you know, I know the system very well. I don't think a Republican can win in California unless you pass the Save America Act. Then they're going to have to show proof of citizenship. They're going to have to get rid of their mail-in voting. No.
Are you okay with voter ID?
So voter ID is currently required in the state of Texas. I opposed having to
How about for mail-in ballots?
To vote.
How about having to send your ballot in? Should you have to prove who you are? Because that's what Democrats are opposing.
Pete, I just said I oppose voter ID. Currently, it's a law in Texas, but I oppose that law because I think you don't need it.
You oppose voter ID? You don't think the most sacred obligation of our republic, you should have to prove who you are in order to vote?
So there are a lot of Texans, actually hundreds of thousands, who don't have a driver's license.
Hi, hello, what's up? Today we'll be talking about how Ken Paxton went on Fox to speak with Maria. But basically we were talking about what we all kind of know. The RINOs are scared and on notice because back to back they keep losing their primaries. 2 impeachments in 1 month, and don't forget about Indiana, and how Thomas Massie lost his seat, which was just obvious because we all know why. We're tired of these RINOs who do nothing but get in the way of what we want. The Save America Act would make it so that we will have secure elections because it's embarrassing. We have unsecure elections in the third world nations of Africa are more secure than here, and they know that. And because of that, they're getting primaried, which they never thought was going to happen. But the problem with that is they're playing by the old rules. They still think it's 2016, but it's 2026 now. And because of that, they keep losing, and it's not that hard. And because of that, they're on notice. Here, they'll talk about it more in this.
Not getting behind President Trump's agenda in a big way.
Well, I think it sends a message. We need to listen to Donald Trump. He's the leader of the party. I think what he's trying to accomplish, most Americans want. Certainly Republicans want it. And so whatever we need to do to get behind the president, I'm for, and I think that message has been sent both with this election in Texas and the election in Louisiana. So it's pretty unusual for incumbent senators to lose. It's almost never happened in the last 50 years, I think maybe twice. And so this sends a message, 2 in like a month. I think it's something we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, maybe, but let's face it, the Senate leadership did not get behind you in a big way. And you know, I mean, even at one point, I think John Thune had an agreement with President Trump saying, if you endorse my guy, John Cornyn, then we'll get the Save America Act over the finish line. That didn't happen. The president endorsed you. How are you going to get the support that you need from Senate leadership in the Republican Party? So you're going to meet with John Thune this week?
That's correct.
What's your message in terms of defeating James Tallarico in November? How are you going to do it?
Like, I think it's pretty easy to do in Texas because this guy doesn't represent Texas values. He doesn't even, I'm not even sure he could get elected in California. His views are so radical once exposed. Now, look, he's trying to walk them back right now. You know, his his vegan campaign views, his saying the American flag was it's a complicated symbol, his talking about God being non-binary and pushing men into women's sports. I mean, the list goes on, and this isn't just me making this up. This is what he actually said, and now he's complaining that I'm quoting him with his strange, weird comments.
Well, what are you going to do about your own record and your own perception? The Wall Street Journal describes you as scandal.
But I agree with him. Yeah, President Trump's in charge. He's a general, and we put him. People who matter. We put him in charge, not the RINO Republicans. And it's kind of sad because the RINO Republicans, they don't realize that the voter base has been occupied by MAGA. The problem is, it's the reverse of the Democrats. While the Democrats, their voter base has been occupied by radical lunatics, but there are people who are in charge aren't really like them. It's pretty much the same with the Republicans. The people who are in Senate right now, majority of them are still Republicans. They're not MAGA, which there is a difference. But the voter base is mostly MAGA, yeah. So yeah, the old Republicans can't win. They don't have the numbers, and that's why they lost. And and not only that, Ken Paxton not only went on to talk about Thune, he also went on to talk about the freak James Tallarico. You know, the one who says that God is binary, and now he bragged about having an all-meat team, which why? That one was stupid. And yeah, he says he's the worst type of politician who used the Bible to try to get elected, but we all know he don't believe in the Bible. He believes in the Democrat Party. He worships the Democrat Party, and he wouldn't represent Texas. He would represent Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Obama, because he'll just be nothing more than a puppet. And it's so bad he's already taken it back.
In Texas, he says there are 6 genders. He wears a mask all the time. You know, he's a disaster candidate, I'll tell you. I think Ken Paxton's going to absolutely just destroy him. I'm going to go out and do rallies for him. I think that, you know, you look at their policy, you don't even understand. How can they want this? And as far as polling goes, the polls they always say 80-20. I think many of these things are 97-3. I think they're 100-0. I mean, did you see where CNN did a poll?
I listened to 15 hours of testimony on this bill. The worst part for me was the number of Christians who used Scripture to justify hurting children. Even on this floor today, a member tried to justify a hateful amendment in the name of God's law. So let's talk about that. The first 2 lines of the Bible, the first 2 lines in Genesis, use 2 different Hebrew words to describe God. One is the masculine Hebrew noun for divinity. The second is the feminine Hebrew noun for spirit. God is both masculine and feminine and everything in between. God is non-binary. In Genesis 1:26, God speaks of God's self in the plural, saying, "Let us make human beings in our image to be like us." That's the infinite multitude of God, the masculine, the feminine, and everything in between. Trans children are God's children, made in God's own image. There's nothing wrong with them, nothing at all. They are perfect, they are beautiful, and they are sacred. Bullying children is immoral. It's a sin, a special kind of sin.
Yeah, if I lived in Texas, this would be a no-brainer. You get a real American, or you get the other Democrat who's just a snake, and a disgusting one too, because he used the Bible. Nothing more as a tool. He was twist the Bible into making people just to use for his political BS. Like when he said that God is non-binary, which is just heresy in my opinion. If this was the old days, then yeah, we'll have some, yeah, we'll have some fun with that. And with this, I'm gonna really just say that, yeah, Ken Paxton, yeah, people in Texas, you should really vote for him. And to finish this off with the Bible that goes with it, Luke 4/4, 12:19, 12:18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because He has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the heartbroken, to proclaim to the captivities and recover of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord. This has been Navigator Podcast. Come back again soon. Have a nice day. See ya.